speaker is Aitana Sahni. Aitana is a second-year student at DVC and the president of Alpha Beta Gamma Business Honor Society. It's a tongue twister. Where she and her team bring industry leaders to community colleges to foster career success and peer-to-peer mentorship. Outside of DVC, she teaches violin and is dedicated to expanding access to music for young children across the Bay. Let's welcome Aitana.
Not working? No. It's not working. We'll do it without it. It's not relevant. Good evening, everyone. Today, I'd like to share what has quietly yet profoundly shaped every one of our lives: mentorship. When we think of mentors, we imagine all-knowing guides who swoop into our lives, tap into our potential, and magically transform us into our best selves. Think Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid, who uses intense force and exercises to mold Daniel into the karate master that he later becomes. But Daniel wasn't a mentee. He was a protege. In my lived experience, through leading TEDxDiabloValleyCollege's Business Honor Society, Alpha Beta Gamma, and through my own experience as a mentor, I've learned that mentorship is rarely that dramatic. It's a friendship that's built over time with trust, listening, and mutual respect. All our speakers that we've invited to and heard from at Alpha Beta Gamma have echoed the same message. Find your mentors. They're not going to reach into your brain and pull out those hidden talents that we all know you have. Who here can sing, but just chooses not to? Okay, I see you guys. I'll have to hear from you later. No, they're not going to wave wands and say, "There, you're ready now." What they actually do is plant seeds. They share their stories, their successes, their failures, and their breakthroughs, pure honesty. And that fosters a system where we can trust them and we can reflect how we can achieve our own goals off of them. I've been lucky enough to experience this as a mentor when I'm on the other side. When I'm not the one receiving mentorship, but I am the mentor. And the most powerful way I've been able to experience this is through music. I began teaching violin as a freshman in high school when I was paired with two students, elementary aged, through a club called Music Mentors. What started off as weekly lessons grew into a deeper relationship in which I got to know my two students as people, not just as my violin students that I did as an extracurricular. One of my most memorable students had ADHD. She struggled with typical monotonous routines in practice, and so I introduced upbeat and more fun pieces to get her creative side going. That worked. So one of the things that we mentors do is we learn, we observe what motivates our students, what really gets them going, what discourages them, what encourages them. How can we do that? But we also have to go back to honesty. We have to share our own stories. When she wasn't feeling it enough to practice, like, why am I here? Why am I practicing? I'm not progressing as fast as I used to. She was on that racetrack and then just came to a really slow plateau. That's when I shared with her the time where I hit the same rut. I was so used to landing first violin every single orchestra I joined. I'd become entitled to it. And when I entered high school and I was moved in the back of the seconds after trying my best to become a first violinist, that rejection hit hard. But I came to realize, years later, that it was not in fact rejection, it was redirection. From being in the seconds, I learned numerous technical skills that made me a better violinist. I learned how to count, which, who here plays violin? We all know first violins can't count. And so I didn't know how to count, but I learned when I was in the seconds. I learned how to follow the lead of others. And all these technical skills I wouldn't have learned as a first violinist.